It's 11:45 Saturday night. Let's do this. Good evening, Hampton Roads. Good evening, Northeast North Carolina. Don't adjust your screen. This is 11:45 on a Saturday night, and it's a special edition. You are watching a very special edition of First Warning Live, where we're talking about this coastal storm that continues to ramp up. Now, I know because I've been doing this a while, not everybody has the same experience. Do you want some evidence? Just take a look at this comment that came in from Melissa about 2 hours ago. It's barely raining in Portsmouth. So what? Are we to assume there's nothing here? Nothing to see here? Well, and about an hour later, Elaine came in and she said, pouring in Hampton. It has been. Well, maybe it has. Maybe something's changed in the last 60 minutes. So I'd like to dedicate this live stream, which is my second one of the day, second one of the afternoon, evening, to all those who are insomniacs, who can't sleep, or maybe you're a light sleeper, can't sleep during storms. So if you are in that category, this is for you. I know that I don't like to have anxiety over storms. If you were a little kid, maybe that's where it comes from. I don't know. I'm no psychiatrist, but I can tell you that this storm system is going to have a timeline. So I've worked hard just since the last live stream. You're going to get some information you didn't get maybe if you saw that one and you're watching this one. Maybe you're watching football and you didn't pay attention to the 11 o'clock news. That's fine. But let me show you where things are. This is the big picture, right? We've got showers, even snow showers in Montana tonight. But that's not what I'm focused on. I'm focused on what's going on here. And if you're really, really perceptive, if you're super, super perceptive, you might notice that it seems like there's like a little low here. And could there be another low that's developing here? It's not even Sunday yet. But maybe that's what's happening. Maybe this system is going to get, because remember, Basic 101 in meteorology, winds rotate counterclockwise around a low in the northern hemisphere. So maybe we've got some interesting things going on. And another look shows it's been raining fairly steadily in places like Duck, in places like Knott's Island, Back Bay. Elizabeth City's been getting rain. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not to disparage someone who says I barely got any rain in Portsmouth. The night's not over yet, because the timeline of this is something I want to show you next. Let me zoom in a little bit tighter here so you can see. We've had some very heavy rain over the last 2 hours. That's what this loop represents. The last 2 hours, it's really filling in now south of Great Bridge in Chesapeake. It's filling in now around Back Bay and Moyock and Gates. So this is just like getting started. So you can't just, it's kind of like, you watch a movie trailer or you read the book cover and you've already determined whether it's a good or bad movie or book. You can't do that. You can't just assume this coastal storm is a nothing burger until wait till things, how it plays out. That's all I'm trying to maintain. So let me give you the timeline. I worked hard on this so that people would know, could you give me some sense of when this heavy rain is going to end? I can. The heaviest is now between now and 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Well, that's helpful. You mean by 10 o'clock there's probably not much rain out there? Probably not. Not much. I don't think there will be much after, say, 9 o'clock. But keep in mind, it's only 11:48. That means we have a little more than 9 hours left of this. Keeps on coming. And then you throw in the other element, the strongest wind gusts. Sometimes they don't always line up. That's my point. I tried to illustrate that as best I could the last live stream today. But the strongest wind gusts may very well occur between 2 in the morning and 4 p.m. But with enough momentum transfer, when the sun comes up, pops on daybreak. Daybreak tomorrow is 7:10. May not see much of it, but there'll be enough air, enough high winds that might come down. So we might see a little pop of 45, maybe a gust of 50, maybe a gust of 55, right around sunrise tomorrow, 7:10. So still early. I mean, it's not quite that time yet. Oh, and the last piece of the puzzle is the peak tidal flooding. If you live in a low-lying area, maybe you live near, I guess, Lynn Haven, maybe Sewell's Point, maybe in Duck, it's really midday tomorrow from 11 to 3. 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., we're looking at major tidal flooding, and in some cases, moderate. I can do some question and answer with that coming up here in a moment. But I just wanted to give you kind of a timeline. Sometimes these things overlap, they intersect, but it doesn't always come all at the same time, right? The heaviest rain is now filling in at this hour, but I do think the strongest winds will be picking up towards sunrise tomorrow. I hope that helps. If you're on the call, would love to say hi to you. I'm going to do my best to get everybody's questions answered, because I know I just posted a couple of comments that came from about 10 o'clock. There was a 10 o'clock post, and some people had left posts or comments there. So I'm going to do my best now to define the ones that might be on this particular thread here on our WTKR3 Facebook page. Very happy that you're here. If I haven't said that, I am very grateful that you're spending some time with me tonight. If you have a question, let me know. I'll do my best to put your comment on the screen. I see some comments, maybe one coming in now so far. Let's see if I can update that. Oh, so far, it's our WTKR News article, so we've got that in there too. So if you have some comments you want to leave me, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to keep moving because the rain is just filling in. Oh, and have you charged your phone yet? Because with that increasing wind, that will put some trees in jeopardy. With all the rain, saturated soil, trees come down, power goes out. It's never pleasant in that regard. So we've got to take that into consideration too. I know that sometimes power outages can catch people off, surprise people. And I know it's been raining pretty steadily in some parts of the country. I know that North Carolina's had some issues too. So they've had some power outages, it looks like, down toward Beaufort County and also maybe into Craven County. I'm looking at some websites right now. So keep in mind our free news app is available for download at any time. The high wind warning starts at 2 in the morning. So the key here is this starts, well, it starts in a couple of hours. It hasn't even begun yet. But when you've got winds and the verbiage of the National Weather Service of 55, gusting 55, that will take out power in some cases. 30 to 40 sustained means it's a very windy day tomorrow because this goes right through 10 o'clock tomorrow night. I don't know if you're aware of that, but 10 o'clock tomorrow night is almost 24 hours from now. I would say 22 hours from now or so. It's a long way off, but it's going to continue. And then there's a wind advisory. This goes until 10 o'clock Sunday night. This is for some of the interior areas, right, away from the coast. I'm looking at you, Chesapeake. I'm looking at you, Matthews. I'm looking at you, Gloucester. You're going to have some issues perhaps with some strong winds too. I got a note from Joey Lee. Is it supposed to be nice tomorrow? No, I don't think it's going to be nice tomorrow. It will be getting better. I'm always an optimistic person, Joey. I think there are opportunities where we have to say that we got to get through tonight, right? We got to get through the timeline through midday tomorrow for tidal flooding. When you talk about major tidal flooding, it's like what we have right outside the station on Oldley Road. It just gets like a lake, and that lake will get bigger when it's under a major tidal flooding situation. And on top of all the rain that we're going to be getting tonight. So it could look pretty ugly. Better to be safe than sorry. As I say, encourage you to download the app and also make sure your phone is charged so that you're informed when things change on and around your neighborhood. The coastal flood warning until 8 a.m. Monday. That can't be right. No, it is right. It runs until 8 a.m. Monday. And this is for 2 to 4 feet of inundation all the way down to Hatteras and Ocracoke, Rodanthe and Wanchese. So that's a long way off. And then when you move further north, it's not 2 to 4, it's 2 to 3. This runs until 9 a.m. Monday for the 2 to 3 feet of inundation. So that's what I'm saying. This is going to be prolonged. Make sure that you're aware things are going to be changing. As far as the peak tidal flooding, I mentioned major for Sewell's Point. That's one aspect. That's going to be around 6.5. Lynnhaven River at Lynnhaven Inlet, about 6.3. Major flooding occurring tomorrow, midday from about 12 to 2. 12 to 2 is when this is expected to occur. Yorktown, Chesapeake Bay at Yorktown, about 5.8. And Duck, North Carolina, about 6.9. It's not pretty, and as these things cycle in, cycle out, we're coming off of a harvest moon, a super moon. So the king tides, as they are sometimes referred to, might actually make this a little bit higher than what might have been otherwise. 6.9 feet is pretty high, and then it's still moderate heading into 1 o'clock on Monday. So there's noon Sunday, there's 1 o'clock Monday. Cycle in, cycle out. That's for Duck, North Carolina. Sewell's Point, 6.5 is major. That occurs around 1 o'clock tomorrow, and 3 p.m. Monday, it's still minor. So this is not as bad heading into Monday, at least maybe at Sewell's Point, but it could be in other places. Let's see here. I got Carol Rice. You've thrown me not a curveball, a challenge. She says, and I'm quoting here, no one is talking about Poquoson. I can talk about Poquoson. Let's look at Poquoson. This is why I like having this opportunity, because one of the nice things about doing these live streams is that I can actually go in and zoom in and say, let's see what Poquoson's looking at. I know that at Fort Monroe, which is not too far from Poquoson, James River's going to have about 6.4 feet, which would be considered moderate, almost major, around places like Fort Monroe. But Poquoson's going to get some heavy rain. We're looking at about 1 to 3 inches here, and I think we're going to see wind gusts in Poquoson by morning. somewhere between 45 and 55. Does that help? I hope that helps, Carol. Carol's making a good point. So if there's a town that you don't feel like gets enough recognition, that's what this platform can help do and hopefully be able to assist. 10 to 15 for surf zones tomorrow. This runs till 6 p.m. Monday, everywhere in purple. Covers areas from Exmoor, the eastern shore, down to Virginia Beach, down to Duck, Rodanthe, Ocracoke, and Hatteras. So I talked about this during the last live stream, that there was a good chance that this low was going to peel off into two. So you have one here, I don't know, kind of highlighted, a second one here. So if you follow these little lines, these lines of equal pressure, one of them moves north. This could conceivably be called the nor'easter because it heads up toward Long Island and Massachusetts. At least the impact will be felt up there. Meanwhile, this coastal low, there's some isotherms here, or isobars rather, still back here. So this low just kind of hangs tough. It's like a coastal low here. You might have more considered a nor'easter there, but eventually they merge back as they head back out to sea. And that occurs probably Monday into Tuesday. So if we can get through tonight, we can get through tomorrow, and eventually into tomorrow night and Monday morning, some of the worst of the issues with the tidal flooding will be the last to improve, likely in the cycling. But weather headlines, just keeping it simple. The coastal storm is here. Rain and gusty winds will intensify. The peak timing, I've already covered that, but just worth showing you, it's night through Sunday morning, is the worst. And major tidal flooding will likely be unfolding before our very eyes between noon and 2 tomorrow and could linger well into the afternoon, so we'll watch that closely. Here's where we stand. So far, Norfolk International has had a peak gust of 26. Virginia Beach has had a peak gust of 26. And 38 in Hatteras, but there were some indications, some of the modeling thought, well, maybe we have some 50s in the purple area over here, right? Some areas well to the south, in parts of southeastern North Carolina, may very well have had some winds that gust well over 38. So these are what we're at least being able to report right at the moment. As of 11 o'clock, almost midnight now, we've got 23 in Newport News, Norfolk, and Virginia Beach, 26, 24 miles an hour respectively. Manio's got a gust of 28 right now, Edenton only 16, Melfa at 20, and Jackson at 20. So those are the gusts that at least are showing up at the moment. I got a note, I believe, about, let's see. I got a note from Charlie Williams. Hi, Charlie. Charlie, thanks for staying up late. You know, it is Saturday night. I keep forgetting. People are probably watching football, maybe watching other sporting events or looking at reels of Instagram on their phone, whatever you do. I'm glad that you're here. He has a question. How's it looking for Elizabeth City? Well, if you are in Elizabeth City, if you're in the harbor of hospitality, see how I knew that, you're probably going to have about anywhere from 3, maybe 4 inches of rain before this is all said and done. I'm thinking that 3 to 6 might be a little higher toward the Outer Banks, and Elizabeth City is a little bit further inland, but it's going to have, at times, wind gusts probably close to 45, 50, even 55 miles per hour. So keep an eye on Elizabeth City overnight. Know it will get more challenging. I got a note from a familiar name from Tennessee. Diane Ladyhawk says, good luck, everyone. Thank you, Diane. I know I have a lot of Tennessee followers still follow me on Facebook and are always curious about what's going on. I got a note from Sean Smith. I don't know if he's half serious. He says, Marcos is open in Pocosa until 3 a.m. If you're hungry, there you go. There's a nice little advertisement for hunger if you're in Pocosa. Check him out. And I got another note from Joey Lee. He was joking. Maybe he was joking. It's supposed to be nice tomorrow. It'll get better. And JL Bree, one of our WTKR photographers, is on here, and I believe the question, maybe the statement, as I underline it, says, has the storm fallen apart? Seems like it's just a little rain now. Don't be so sure of that, because as I said, the heaviest rain is between now and 9 a.m. tomorrow, and I think the strongest wind gusts are from 2 a.m. right through 4 p.m. tomorrow, but there's going to be a pop. You'll find suddenly like, man, where did this wind come from? Around sunrise tomorrow, that's at 7:10. So that's just a recap of where I've been. I want to keep moving forward because I know some of you want to be able to go to bed. I tried to put that timeline up first. I wanted to save the best for first so that you could try to get some sleep. Look at the wind gusts now. These are current wind speeds. Now, Rodanthe is not necessarily the canary in the coal mine, but I see all this purple down here. That would suggest stronger winds. And that to me is going to, like itsy bitsy spider, right? It's going to try and crawl up the coast. And when it does, some of these winds will be, by sunrise, be much higher than they are right now. So like I said, you can perhaps judge a book by its cover or perhaps a movie by its trailer, but why would you? This is now 1 minute before midnight. How do I know? Because I got a timestamp on there. I want you to see the situation. Where's most of the rain? It's down here. There's some off the coast, and all this is trying to spin in here. So this is a long, slow-moving process. And if you've got a low that's splitting in two, it's going to make it even more maybe drawn out, as it were. So it's really not that hard. The heavy rain has not even really hit the eastern shore yet. A couple passing showers. Whoop-de-doo, no big deal. But the rain is more moderate across the Albemarle, and it's sliding into Elizabeth City. So when we have questions about from our friend just a moment ago, from Charlie Williams, it doesn't look that great. It looks a little rainy for Elizabeth City and Ahoskie and Duck and areas to the south. Our low pressure system situated right here off the coast of Cape Fear, off the coast of Wrightsville Beach and Wilmington, and it's trying to move right along this boundary. So if you go right up this trough, this is kind of where it's trying to move in that direction, and we'll have, of course, an outcome by tomorrow. This is how much rain did you get? If you have a rain gauge, you could share that with us. Speaking of which, I believe I've got the rain gauges as of right now. I wanted to maybe get to it before it resets, because at midnight it might reset. There's Manio. There, I got in just in time, because my computer will typically go all zeros at midnight. Maybe it will as I flip through it. But Manio's had over a half inch so far today, about a half inch Elizabeth City, about 0.29 for Virginia Beach, about a quarter for Hampton. I think I got in right under the buzzer. That was slick. I love it. In other numbers, we had over a half inch so far in Edenton here on a Saturday, because now technically it's Sunday. It is Sunday, right? It's the 12th now. 0.64 in Windsor. So places like Bertie County have had well over a half inch. In Chowan County, more than a half inch. Chesapeake, about a third. In Norfolk, about a quarter. So that's where things stand. I mean, if you're in Saluda, all the way up toward Middlesex County, you're like, there's no big deal. And you haven't had much rain, if anything, measurable in Emporia. So this just gives you, Currituck, about a quarter inch. It just gives you some idea of what we've had in terms of rainfall. So now, my rainfall forecast, I think, has gone blank because it's a new hour. And I think I may have messed that up. But either way, you'll have to take my word for it, what I'm still expecting. And you knew it would fail me right at midnight. It turns into like a pumpkin for Cinderella in the carriage. 1 to 3 is what I expect for Southeast Virginia. And about 3 to 6. On the high end would be the 6 around the Outer Banks. But I think it would probably be more like 3 or 4 potentially for places like Edenton or Elizabeth City. That's how much rain I expect. I won't dwell on it. And if you need to, you can always look at my earlier live stream from today. The wind forecast showing winds that are maybe not as strong as we head toward 11 o'clock on Monday. They drop down to about 30, less than 20 here. So a lot of my pause points and things kind of fell off the wagon here because it's no longer Saturday. It's thinking Saturday of next week. So my computer, it's like a Y2K issue. Once you hit midnight, it turns into a pumpkin. So either way, that's the way things go. Now this morning, this did not update yet, or it's actually still pertinent. 66 degrees was our low temperature today in Norfolk on a Saturday morning. That occurred at 5:11 this morning, and we finished the day at 70. That occurred at 3:40 in the afternoon. Do I expect it's going to get much warmer tomorrow? No, but I do think the winds will be generally 25 to 40. That's sustained. And with I'm not saying anyone's going to be going serious swimming tomorrow, but if you're walking the beach, 9 to 12 feet for surf height's pretty high with a high rip current risk, and water temperature still in the lower 70s. The rain chance tonight, I think, is about 100%, but once the sun comes up tomorrow, it's closer to 80. Let me say that again. About 100% chance of rain tonight and into tomorrow morning, but once the sun comes up, it's going to drop down to about 80% and clearly drops quite a bit. I don't expect any rain Wednesday and Thursday. That's when temperatures are actually going to get much, much cooler. The sun pops out, you're going to suddenly feel like we've gone into late autumn by the time we move into Thursday and Friday of next week. I guess it's now this week, it's Sunday. I don't have temperatures higher than the low 60s, like 61, 62 next Thursday and next Friday. Just checking in with you. I see some other notes here. I see from JL. Joshua Griffin has a note, would like to say hi to him. He says, rain, go away. I agree. Some of us are not too keen on the fact that when the rain comes on a weekend, it's dreadful. So maybe that's the name we could call this, Coastal Storm Dreadful, because it is like an unwelcome house guest. There's no question about that. All right, so we go back to the maps. It's now 12:04. I'm going to try to finish up here in the next few minutes. But if you are curious, why did this not get a name? Why did the Hurricane Center ignore it? Well, there are probably several reasons, but to keep it simple, it may not have had the warm core that they look for. So this is just a coastal storm without the name. Where they think there could be a name is the 50% X marks the spot. It's a wave coming off the Atlantic there, off of Africa, that has the potential to become Lorenzo. We did have Jerry kind of fizzle out. Jerry, the remnants of Jerry, south of Bermuda, didn't amount to much. Kind of fell apart with all the activity going on along the coast. And that means Lorenzo is in fact the next name on the list, followed by Melissa. Do I have anybody named Melissa on this call? I see Melissa occasionally pop up. But either way, you're on the on-deck circle, as is Nestor. I don't know too many people named Nestor, but okay. And then Olga and Pablo, if we continue down this path of hurricane season, that's certainly a possibility. Just checking in there. I see a note, someone wanting to know about Yorktown. Yorktown, that's a good question. Let's take a look. I have my other laptop here. I'm checking some other things here about Yorktown. I mentioned Chesapeake Bay at Yorktown. What about, let's see if I can find some other stations here I can find. Matthews County looked like it was moderate flooding. I think Yorktown also had, Chesapeake Bay near Yorktown. Looks like they're going to reach about 5.8 feet. Come back on camera for a second. About 5.8 feet. That would put that particular Chesapeake Bay area under the major flooding. That time frame right now seems to be around 2 o'clock. So between noon and 2, that falls in line with the peak tidal flooding for Yorktown. Some areas around Yorktown should be concerned for the tidal flooding to reach a fever pitch midday tomorrow, especially around 2 o'clock. All right, I'm going to keep moving because I want to keep answering questions, but I'm multitasking too, and I know time is limited. So we've got the big picture, the satellite picture, all this mess that's spreading up and down the eastern coast. Heaviest rain will end likely before and around 9 a.m. I'm going to show you that on the Futurecast if my model didn't fall apart at midnight. 67 at noon, 68 at 4. We hit 70 on Saturday, so we've had a string of below normal days in Norfolk, and this is indicative of many locations. A total of 8 below normal days so far this month, and it will get much cooler heading into your day next week, Thursday, Friday particularly. We could drop in the upper 40s. Upper 40s sometimes requires a light jacket at the bus stop. That's all I'm going to say about that. Today's high was 70, record high 88, and as of 11 o'clock, we did pick up 0.24 inches of rain in Norfolk, so now we're only up to 0.35, about a third of an inch for the month. Dew point temperatures currently are in the 40s, the 50s, and 60s across the region, but boy, is it sticky in Hatteras. When you've got something tropical or pseudo-tropical, it's going to rise and cause those dew points to come up, and it feels sticky. It's quite humid and possibly, may I say, even muggy when you've got a dew point in Hatteras now at 70 degrees. Temperature right now, midnight. This is updating correctly. It is 68 in Hampton. It's 68 in Portsmouth. Virginia Beach currently at 69 degrees at 12:07 here on a Sunday morning. It is 69 in Edenton, 68 in Currituck. Surrey is at 72. Williamsburg is at 72 degrees. And our temperatures, well, still holding some of the heat here. I mean, you look along the East Coast, many of us are in the 60s, low 70s, but they're back in the 50s across Indianapolis, Columbus, Pittsburgh. A lot cooler air, but we can't get that cool when you've got this system right parked overhead. Meanwhile, the temperature outlook from the Climate Prediction Center wants to bring temperatures back slightly above normal once we move into the 19th and 25th. When I'm speaking of with lows in the upper 40s, highs in the low 60s, that would be the 16th and 17th of October. So before we start to warm back up like a pendulum, like a swing on the playground, it's going to get a little bit cooler and then try and trend a little bit back to near normal. That's the way things are shaping up, at least above normal, especially for the southeast from South Carolina and down toward Florida, heading into the 25th. Not quite Halloween, but getting closer to the 3rd, 4th week of October. You can see some of the cooler air in blue. It's trying to dive down from basically Canada, from the Arctic, but some of that cool air will be a little bit slow to get down this far. It will drop our temperatures a little bit heading into the 16th and 17th and may moderate a little bit on the 22nd. Temperature trend tomorrow, we'll be lucky to hit 70. 67 Monday, 67 Tuesday, but this is the big surprise eye-opener. Lots of sunshine, a sunny day, when the normal high by that point will probably be about 73. And we'll be around 61 and be lucky to get there. That's kind of a cool outcome, a cool outlook. but certainly something we have see there. I got a note from Mary. I love the fact we get some observations here. In addition to people saying, when's it going to do this? It's not doing anything. Well, Mary's got a very nice update. It says wind has really increased on mainland Dare within the last 2 hours. Thank you, Mary. And I hope that anyone who's watching, if you're, like I said jokingly, if you can't sleep, if you're an insomniac, maybe you stay up late, you work the third shift, whatever you do, I'm glad that you're here. Maybe you watch this at 3 in the morning. Maybe you watch this at 6 in the morning. He says, well, I'll be. That weather guy said the winds would pick up towards sunrise. There it comes. So if Mary's getting increased wind in mainland Dare, imagine what's going to happen in Norfolk and Virginia Beach when the sun comes up tomorrow or later this morning. I think it's going to spike. It's going to pop. As I said, that momentum transfer will spike those winds, and we're going to see wind gusting 45, 50, 55. That could cause some stress on trees, which then in turn can put stress on power. Doesn't mean you're going to lose power, but wouldn't it be smart to get that phone charged before you go to bed so that you don't have that outcome? Okay, the Eastern Shore for Sunday, temperatures generally in the 60s from Bloxham, Onancock, Chincoteague, about 68. Cape Charles, 68 degrees, about an 80% chance of rain for Cape Charles. Exmoor, Onancock, 67. Our friends in the Outer Banks, not the prettiest of days, but 70 for Kill Devil Hills, 70 for Nags Head and Manio, and Rodanthe, about 71. Ocracoke, Hatteras, about 75 for tomorrow afternoon. So I wanted to show you the Storm Prediction Center. Now this will get interesting. I'm wondering if I see my maps will update. Yeah, it looks like maybe it perhaps tried to update. Yeah, it looks like a couple of isolated severe storms possible in Arizona and Utah and back toward Wyoming and parts of Colorado. Now there was a little bit earlier tonight. If you watched the earlier live stream around 6 o'clock, yeah, there it is. There's some color there. So they're putting, I say they, the Storm Prediction Center, just a 2% chance. A 2% chance that we could get an isolated tornado in this part of southeastern sections of North Carolina. That includes Morehead City, Atlantic, and yes, it does include Ocracoke, Hatteras, Rodanthe, and just areas south of Duck and mainland Dare. So if we were to see a spin up, a little hiccup as it were, likely maybe an EF0, an EF1, and the probability of that, 2%. 2% chance. So they're just leaving an isolated severe thunderstorm chance with the winds that are popping. And this would occur between now through 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. So I just wanted to communicate that. But that's just another reason why it's so important to get weather information. Now, I'm personally biased. I work at WTKR News 3. The First Warning Weather app is free at the App Store, Google Play. It's great when you pair it with the NOAA Weather Radio because sometimes our phones do lose charge. Sometimes when we lose battery, right, on the phone, it doesn't work. I don't get notifications. But if you have a battery-powered NOAA Weather Radio, you will be for sure getting some notifications in the middle of the night should and if something were to pop in your neighborhood. Severe weather threat Monday is nothing. I'm not expecting any severe weather in the lower 48. And first severe weather threat Tuesday. Nothing to see here. We although saw or may see something in the Salt Lake City area. There's nothing to see Tuesday either, so things are looking good. This is where I want to take you through tonight. Now, hopefully, my map will hold together. This is 1 o'clock. If I last checked, it's 12:12. Just so you know, it's 12:12 in the morning on Sunday. Good Sunday morning, everybody. All right, so 1 a.m., rain spilling in. And we'll look at the radar again before I'm done. But notice this. This is, again, model-driven, northeast winds sustained around 19. Now, let's see if I could just check. It is now, because I didn't look at the midnight temperature, that's just now come in. And right now we have a northeast wind at 13. It's 13, gusting to 26. So this is not that far, it's probably a good average, but the winds are also driving in some of this rain. Notice the 19 goes to 23 at what time? 3. So 2 hours later, winds are picking up in the Norfolk area and Virginia Beach. Rain still spilling in. Take it one step further, 5 a.m. Maybe it's a little easier to see full screen, so I'll put this full screen. Now we've got winds around 27. So if I'm not mistaken, when I started this at 1 a.m., it was 19. Now it's 27 sustained. And you said around sunrise it could get higher. Well, maybe it will. Now it's 28. 28. So by this point, even though the rain might be slowing down, the winds are still picking up. And I think if the clouds begin to crack, you're going to see some of that transferred energy down to the surface, and that will cause more winds to pick up, like our friend Mary was just illustrating. So thank you, Mary, for that observation. But the winds are hardly over. They're just getting started. And by 9 o'clock, that's when the rain should begin to slow down. We still have some showers projected here, but those winds are still with us. 29 sustained. So I think even at that point, we're still dealing with gusty winds. I saw a 30 there. All of a sudden, my map wanted to go back and I have so many computers here. I just have to restart this. It's like a screensaver. But I got it back up so I can get back to this. This was showing 29. This is midday tomorrow. This is 12 noon. So no matter how you slice it, we've got more wind, more rain, but they don't always coalesce or intersect. They will overlap in some ways, but not necessarily in all ways. Williamsburg by noon tomorrow could still be getting showers up toward Exmoor and also Matthews County. Look at the 5 o'clock Sunday afternoon winds sustained, projected here 29. So it's really like once we get past 2 or 3 in the morning, it's game on. These winds are just going to be, and they're going to be continuous. And if you have a saturated soil, saturated ground, trees are more likely to come tumbling down. Now, once we get to 11 o'clock Sunday, it's still around 24, but I would hardly describe 11 o'clock Sunday as rainy. There are some showers out and about, but the worst of the rain is over. And did I mention, I forgot to mention at 12 noon, that the tidal flooding will be at its peak. And suddenly by Monday, now we're just trying to do the cleanup because the clouds may be the last thing to get out of here. This is 12 noon Monday and 5 o'clock Monday. I think things will look much, much brighter as we head into Tuesday and beyond. So tomorrow morning, when you wake up, assuming you get a good night's sleep, and I wish you a very good night's sleep, it is now 12:15. I've been going on for 30 minutes, and I do know that some of you might not necessarily go to bed right away because you just typically stay up late on a Saturday night. That's cool. Mid-60s, low to mid-60s by tomorrow morning. So I'm looking at Franklin, 65. I'm looking at Cape Charles, about 65. And I'm looking at Duck for a low, about 66. Not too cool. I mean, it's kind of warm, given the fact the normal low this time of year is typically 57. So this is a warm, warm night for October when you typically see lows around 57. So the stream is, we're looking at temperatures tomorrow about 70 south side, 69 Peninsula, 73 North Carolina, and the highs tomorrow, I should say highs later today, later on Sunday. 70 in Elizabeth City, that's for my friend Charles. 71 in Edenton and 69 in Hampton. Our friends in Poquoson, I would say about 69 degrees. Smithfield, 69, and 69 in Chesapeake. Here's your first warning, WTKR News 370 forecast. So 70, if we're lucky, with wind-driven rain. Say it with me, wind-driven rain. Oh, it's not that windy now. Wait till tomorrow. Wind-driven rain. Few showers on Monday, 30% or less. 20% chance on Tuesday. Again, that's going to be dependent and contingent on the interaction of those two lows that are splitting. But we'll leave a 20% chance of rain on Tuesday, but so much improved on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I didn't even want to put a cloud in, not even a cirrus cloud. I mean, that's how ambitious I was for Thursday and Friday, but that's not a misprint. That's 48. For those of you that like cool air, where like maybe if it's 48 in Norfolk, it's probably like 42 in Franklin, maybe 42 in Emporia. And if it's that cold, that's cold enough to see your breath. About 43, 44, you can start to see your breath in the morning. Maybe that's your thing, but for mid-October, that's kind of early. Some would say too much, too fast, but that's where I think we're going to be. Just wanted to check in with you. Comments that might be streaming in. I see J. Aldrich. She's happy. I mean, somebody's happy about this. I am so excited, she says, about the cooler weather. It's been a hot summer. Don't you know? That's a great point. Do you remember how sticky it was in June? How humid it was in July? And then we got the big pullback. And I kept saying, wait till August 1st, it's going to be cooler. And it was cool like for the whole month. I think we had, a couple of days in 90s. Not much. In fact, as the Weather Service indicated, this August was the coolest since 1996. That's a long time ago. That's like a generation ago or more. So if you like the cool weather, you had it in August, a little bit in September. So far this month hasn't been that bad. But there's going to be even cooler days. 50, 48, 51. You're going to get some real cool days. So if you liked last weekend, because this weekend's kind of the pits, it's dreadful. You're going to like next weekend, or at least the days leading up to next weekend, because I got 68s for Saturday, which is a little warmer. But these 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, look fantastic. So I wanted to kind of leave you that and leave you with that. It's about 12:18. If you have any thoughts or any comments, let's see here. Sean Smith had a follow-up question. Let's see if I can help answer that. And I'll clear my telestrator because that's from before. I see all on here. Let's see. all of here on the peninsula are worried about the flooding. The old folk keep saying it's going to be a big one. It's going to be major. Some people have said it's going to be the biggest in like a decade or 5 years. We won't know until the levels go, right? But it's projected to be major, and it's projected to be major between noon and 2. Noon and 2 is when it reaches its crest. So we'll have to wait and see. I left a bigger window from 11 to 3, but the tidal flooding is going to be the third leg of this. As I mentioned a moment ago, the intense rain starting now and the intense wind will be picking up after 2 a.m. and continuing right through at least 4 p.m. tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. So we're going to give you back other comments that might be trickling in. I don't want to leave anybody out. Rich Taylor says it's raining on Jefferson Avenue. I got a note here from Christopher. Another comment. I love the real-time weather observations. Little to no wind here, Newport News. It's not 2 a.m. yet. Not 2 a.m. Last I checked, it's 12:20 a.m. Give it a couple more hours. Christopher, if you're up, tell me and let me know if there's still no wind there. I think it'll pick up. Just ask your friend Mary, who's on these comments right now. In mainland Dare County, she says it's picked up over the last 2 hours. We saw wind gusts now picking up there. Let's see here. Joshua is asking some questions maybe from the Lake Olney standpoint. I believe Joshua, also one of our WTKR neighborhood weather watchers. Would the flooding be worse? Would it be worse on the south side or the eastern shore? Good question. As I kind of consult and look at my other maps here, it's pretty widespread. A lot of the gauges are major. So we have, I would say, 2/3 major, 1/3 moderate. So either way, it's like you're going to find a couple of 3 out of the 4 in the eastern shore are going to be major flooding, and here the south side are going to be a lot of majors. Lynn Haven, Sewell Point, other locations are also going to have. The one that I was thinking about was Lynn Haven, near Lynn Haven Inlet will have some issues, as well as the Elizabeth River near Money Point. So you've got other issues there that might be climbing to the, or at least rising to the major. That's 7.10. 7.1 major flooding for Elizabeth River near Money Point, and that's supposed to occur, what time is that? That's at 1 o'clock. So all these are seemingly happening between noon and 2. If you haven't seen this tidal flooding situation unfold, or maybe you have, you've lived here a lot longer than I have been. I've been here 8 months, and I've seen some storms with no name. I've seen Aaron. I've seen Humberto and Imelda get pulled out. Like these two were like the Fujiwara effect, pulled out to sea. It's amazing what goes on along the coast during hurricane season, and it doesn't even have to have a name. But that's just me. Maybe if you've grown up here your whole life, you're used to it. And I see a note from Sabrina wanting to wish everybody a great night. Thank you for staying up late with me. It's 12:21. I already know Ghent will need a boat. Probably so. We do photograph a lot of cars that seemingly think it's okay to drive through standing water when it's really not good. Not good for your car, and probably in the end not good for your wallet, if your billfold or your bank account. Don't drive through the standing water, even though the temptation might be there. Just find another way and turn around. And don't drown. Don't put your vehicle through all that stress. Okay, so just to recap, if you just missed it, and all this will still be on Facebook, but I wanted to let you know things will get better. I would be remiss if I tried to tell you it's not all doom and gloom. It will get much better as we head into tomorrow evening. Even better on Monday by the time the tidal flooding situation starts to vastly improve, because we're going to be major tidal flooding tomorrow, midday, but once it gets down to minor flooding into Monday, things will improve by Tuesday and certainly Wednesday. But I'm loving Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If you're just maybe thinking about coming into town, spending some money, walking along Virginia Beach, the Outer Banks, or even the Eastern Shore, or up towards Matthews, wonderful kayaking up there, you've got great opportunities. But if your work schedule kind of glues you that you only get Saturdays and Sundays off, this weekend was kind of maybe a bust. But hopefully if you can schedule some extra time in this block of time, I think you're going to be pretty pleased. All right, well, thank you so much for your time tonight. I'm just very thankful for all of you. I want to reset. I do this usually Monday through Thursday, but because it is a Saturday and because we had a storm, I wanted to be able to do this. This was not something I was obligated to do. I do it because I love it, and I love being able to give you information that hopefully is helpful. Just remember, it doesn't matter if the weather is sunny or if it's serious, and kind of serious a little bit tonight. So we keep an eye on what's going on the coast, but just make sure that you know every day that we have on this planet is a gift. Make the most of it in your neighborhood. Check on your neighbors. Make sure that they're okay. We'll see you here next time. Take care.